Hey there. Welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN. I am Ty Windisch, one of your hosts, joined as always. He's back. The king is back, Rohan Katti. Rohan, welcome back to Wisconsin. My condolences. How's it going, sir?
Doing well. As well as I can. Getting back into the United States. Great vacation. Happy to be back. It's a great time, amazing time.
To be clear, nobody you know died in Europe. You just had to come back home from your great vacation is what I meant. Unless someone did and I didn't know, in which case I'm sorry.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
Because I said my condolences. I wanted people to be clear.
I was like, what on earth are you talking? Like, is this just going to be a thing you start the pod with? To be clear, by the way, I don't know if anyone, if your family has died in the last week. I was like, is this just a new bit? But
just my well wishes.
I mean, fair. I'm the same to you.
Thanks.
No, everyone's doing okay.
Good.
On my end. It was a good time, and happy to get back into the routine, and just get back to talking some more Bucks basketball with you, Ty.
Let's do it. The Bucks swung and missed on Bradley Beal. We got ourselves so excited. I don't know how much of my posts and stuff you saw. I was juiced, man. I thought it was really going to happen. People were telling me I have a problem. I said, I know I do. I did. I don't really anymore. But in case you didn't see, the Phoenix Suns ended up getting Bradley Beal in a deal that I think is getting a little unnecessarily slandered. I mean, I think Phoenix was already thin and going to rely on the top-end talent. So it's not like the Brad Beal deal made that happen. And I think generally, if you can trade second-round picks, Landry Shamet and the ghost of Chris Paul for Bradley Beal, you probably should. I was willing to trade a lot more than that from the Bucks to get Bradley Beal. So I'm not going to be a two-faced person and say that, this is a bad deal for Phoenix. I think it's a great deal for Phoenix. Washington just clearly wanted a reset, which is fine. But disappointing that Beal chose Phoenix. It is what it is, though, to a certain extent. I mean, I've also heard that Beal's family really wants a warm weather climate, which I think may have played into this as well. But the Bucks tried, the Bucks failed. Now it's on to the next. But real quick, Rohan, what were your Beal to Phoenix and Bucks missing out on Beal thoughts?
If anything, this is probably it's good probably that he didn't go to Miami. We'll see what happens with Miami going forward. They've been to Damian Lillard, so it's like if you can just not form like a super team in the East, that's ideal.
And I actually think Beal would have done more for Miami than he does for Phoenix.
I agree. I completely agree. Because he brings a skill set that they desperately needed, like another creator. Another,
better Tyler Hero.
Yeah, exactly. Better Tyler Hero. While Phoenix already has Kevin Durant to Devin Booker. And to be clear, I agree with you. That is a home run deal for Phoenix.
Oh, yeah. Why not?
You're basically just if you can swap out Chris Paul for Bradley Beal, you do it. Second round picks for them are nothing. Landry Shamet is nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. That's the power of the no trade clause is you can choose not only the team, you can choose the compensation.
That is a huge takeaway. Well, what's interesting is the compensation still ends up being all the picks you can trade, which is just how star trades work. But I have had people say we've seen players pick their destinations before. The no trade clause didn't matter. It totally mattered. I don't think there's any way.
Bradley Beal is not a member of the Phoenix Suns if he doesn't have a no trade clause. There's no chance. There's absolutely no chance.
You can't trade for a player of that caliber with no first round picks or prospects. And if you want to look at the guys who have forced their way to a team, you go ahead and do it. I mean, Kevin Durant was all of Phoenix's picks, and Mikal Bridges, and Cam Johnson. Anthony Davis was Lonzo Ball, Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, all the Lakers picks. Jordan Clarkson, I believe? No, maybe not Jordan Clarkson.
No, Josh Hart.
Josh Hart. It's still okay, congrats, you forced to where you want to go. Now they give up all of their young players and all of their draft picks. There's still that in there. And I think, Bradley Beal wouldn't have been a 4-pick guy. But I do think, he's at least like a 1 or 2. And I just think it's totally determined by the no trade. So as you said.
I think there was an example in regards to the compensation.
Yeah.
There was when Kobe Bryant had requested a trade, there was like a deal set up for him to go to Chicago. But Luol Deng was included in the trade, and he vetoed that because he wanted to play with Luol Deng. So yeah, the no trade clause also allows you to choose the compensation for it as well.
It's everything. I mean, you get to dictate the whole thing, which is so rare in the NBA these days, which is why nobody below the Giannis level is going to get one anytime soon, precisely because of this return. So I do think, I want your thoughts on this. I kind of feel like Beal going to Phoenix ends the chance of the Bucks making a big swing this summer, which is going to disappoint people. And I don't think they're going to stop looking, to be clear. And I think them even being in on Beal, given that the salary meant it probably had to move one of Drew or Khris, means that they're aggressive. I think they'll continue to be aggressive. Horst usually is. But I just don't see what else. And people will say Damian Lillard, the pie in the sky choices. But as we just laid out, nobody else is left with a no trade clause. Phoenix isn't going to send Brad Beal to Milwaukee. And I don't know. There's no other star player, I think, that would be like, oh, Drew Holiday and a first for Damian Lillard. Like, I just don't see it.
Maybe Zach LaVine. I don't know.
Would you want to do that?
I don't think Chicago wants to do that trade.
Their asking price tells me he's not getting moved. I don't know, unless they really want to. But they said, what, multiple firsts and a young player?
Something like that.
For Zach LaVine? I mean, what kind of young player? Like, Sandro Mamukelashvili young player or what? Because, I mean, get real. Zach LaVine is not... I think he's a worse player than Bradley Beal. I don't know. Maybe he's a better shooter. I'm not all the way out, but I don't know if I'd trade Drew Holiday for him. I also don't think they could. Like, why would the Bulls want to do that? I mean, I guess they're the Bulls, but...
Yeah, I don't know. But that would be the only other player that comes to mind because Damian Lillard is not... It's not.
Do you think the Heat have enough?
I think... I don't know.
Honestly. 3 firsts and Tyler Hero for Bradley Beal?
I don't know if that package is enough for Miami because it's the only way that could actually work is if Portland treats the equity and the loyalty that Damian Lillard has given to the Trailblazers franchise as a no trade clause and lets him pick his destination. That's really the only way that can be enough. Because if you just had an outright bidding war for Damian Lillard, that's getting beat. It's getting beat easily. Like
the Nets people really think that they're like the team.
I don't get that.
I don't get that either.
Like, what are the Nets trying to do?
Well, I think Dame wants to play with McHale, but I think if you're not sending McHale, you don't have nearly enough to get Dame.
Is Dame and Mikal Bridges better than current Portland?
That's the other question. I kind of don't think Dame's leaving, to be honest.
And don't get me wrong, I love Mikal Bridges. Yeah. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's better than any other player on the Trailblazers not named Damian Lillard. I'm just saying the team around him, what are you doing there?
Especially if you have to give up the Dame salary.
Exactly. I don't know how you get there. Like maybe New Orleans is another team.
New Orleans is
a lot. They have a lot going on.
Wow.
They have a lot going on.
I don't even know what's happening. We can't even get in there. I don't know how much you've seen.
I've seen enough.
There was a Twitter account taken down today. Adam Silver.
He got taken down?
Adam Silver made the call.
No way.
Adam Silver made the call. Zion
the last thing was
Elon.
just egregious.
I don't even know if I saw the last. If I want to see, I saw a free throw. You know what? Let's just move on from New Orleans. I think New Orleans and Portland on draft day, which is tomorrow, maybe tonight, maybe 2 days away as you're hearing this. I'm going to put it out right away because who knows what's going to happen.
We are recording on Tuesday.
Yeah, we're recording on Tuesday night. So you may hear this Tuesday, you may hear this Wednesday morning. But I think New Orleans and Portland are like 2 of the powder kegs in the draft. And I think almost anything is possible for each. But anyway, back to the Bucks. So we don't see any big swings. I do think there's a lot of business to be done on these kind of mid-tier salary kind of role player guys. And I think that can be enough. I mean, we talked about before any of the Beal stuff, when they're still looking for a coach, bringing in a new coach, instituting a new offense can basically make this group look so much better come playoff time. And while the Bucks didn't hire an offensive-minded head coach in Adrian Griffin, he certainly has his ideals about players and the ball moving. And they brought in Terry Stotts, Joe Prunty, and a bunch of other great assistants, clearly with an eye on revamping Milwaukee's offense. So I've been referring to this, and I think we can try to make this a thing, as hashtag let Terry cook. Just the idea of trusting a new system. I think that's fine. I mean, I think even when we were in Beal mania, I was always maintaining they don't need this. They can still be a contending team and win a title without this. They won a title with a worse offense before. It would be nice, but they don't need it to happen. It didn't happen. But are there any players in particular right now that you look at? I have a few names we can sling back and forth, but basically as the Cron says here on YouTube, the other improvement options for the Bucks now that Beal's out the window. So let's put Dame aside, put the pie in the sky aside. What kind of additions make sense to you? And then I've highlighted a couple draft guys we can talk about way later in the pod. Not going to go deep on this. The Bucks have pick 58. Maybe they'll get another pick. We'll talk about that later. But your other improvements, your existing players, your free agents, your trade targets, Rohan, who are you thinking about?
I think first we should probably sort of discuss what this team needs in terms of
that's a
positions.
Good call. Yeah.
So in my opinion, this Bucks team needs another ball handler.
Yeah.
They need another ball handler for sure. Because I've mentioned this all offseason long, but Drew was overtaxed and frankly did not perform and has not performed as an offensive playoff performer as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. And let me make this clear as well. That does not mean that I don't want Drew Holiday on the roster. I just think you can...
Let's pull up some clips from right after the playoffs.
I maintain that I said that he should not be the starting point guard.
Okay, we'll have to see.
He should not be the starting point guard. I think he can still be the starting two guard for this team.
Yeah.
And because he does bring a lot. He's a valuable asset. Drew Holiday is a great player. He was an all-star this year. He still shines in the playoffs, but just not when he has the ball in his hands a lot and is shooting 25 times a game. That's just, it can't happen anymore. It's untenable. Unless you have perfect defense, which the Bucks did not this past postseason. Unless you literally play perfect on the other end and maximize all other opportunities and have other players who are making their shots, it's untenable to have Drew Holiday play like that. So this Bucks team desperately needs some more support in terms of ball handling, shot creation. So that's where I would start. That's where I would start for sure. Also, they would probably need some more versatile front court depth because their current bigs are Brook Lopez, who is a very system dependent big, and Bobby Portis, who is also a very system dependent big. They're not guys who you can throw around and you have to have specific game plans for when you're playing those players. And again, that doesn't mean they're not valuable. They have been shown that they are incredibly valuable to this Bucks team. But they do have their limitations. So more flexibility at the in the front court is also something that this Bucks team desperately needs. And I think those are my top two. Because we've seen they have options at the wing. We'll see what they do in free agency in terms of retaining their guys. We'll see how Marjon develops. And let's not forget they still have Giannis and Khris. And Drew, like I mentioned, should play more of a wing role. So I'll go with ball handling and shot creation, and then versatility in the front court. And I'm inclined to think you might agree with me on this.
I would flip the order.
Okay.
I really, for versatility, I'm lasered in on a big wing who can credibly play both ways. And it just feels like outside of Jay Crowder regular season, they haven't had one since PJ at this point still. And I just think that's the biggest thing they need is someone if Wes was big and also 10 years younger, he'd be perfect. The way this is an intangible thing, But the way you're just like, oh, Wes Matthews is guarding that guy, I feel great about that. That at the 4. And I just think they haven't had that since PJ. I mean, even a regular season Crowder, he wasn't like locking guys up, right?
No.
Maybe you don't need that level, but I just would love that. Like, give me someone who you can put on, like, the Tatums, the Butlers of the world, a big, strong defender who can at least, like, I don't need him to be Paul George offensively, right? But knock down some shots, like, be credible. Paul George works. He's not really that guy defensively anymore. That's okay. That's a big swing that maybe still is on the table. Who the hell knows what's happening with the Clippers right now? But I think that's the most important thing because I talked about this with Adam and Jordan on a pod recently. I think Giannis at the 5 is still their apex mode, which is tough for my guy Brook Lopez, who I think the Bucks should retain. He should start. He should play a lot. But I kind of see him in the Kevon Looney type of like most matchups. I don't know if Brook should be out there closing time. Like I think maybe it's not even about Brook. It's about Giannis more. But I think apex Bucks, I think we saw this in 2021, is you have your ball handlers, your switchable wings, everyone can defend and shoot, and then Giannis is at the 5. And you can just take everything away defensively. You can still rebound. You know, your space is there offensively. I think that's it. And like, you know, a Crowder that works out or was younger, like I know this is a Bucks enemy maybe, and I think he's going to get re-signed in Phoenix. Torrey Craig is the kind of player I'm really thinking about here who's like...
Bucks enemy?
He just didn't play well here, and they just kind of gave him away. And I don't know if Torrey Craig feels... I thought he was a great fit. It just didn't work. I would love another crack at Torrey Craig with a new coaching staff. But someone like that I think is more of a need. My thing with the ball handler is, and we can talk about a specific player, Tyus Jones, who folks in the Discord are excited about. I just think we saw with Ingles, like, will they have the ball in their hands enough? Like, are you really going to have Jrue Holiday just spacing for a Tyus Jones or a Joe Ingles or whoever else? Like, maybe, I guess. I don't know. I just don't know if that'll actually, even with a new offense.
Or even like splitting it. My thing about team building, I've said this consistently, is like you always want to have guys who are overqualified for their roles.
Yeah.
So like Jrue Holiday would be overqualified to be like a guy who's like spacing and like sharing some like tertiary ball handling duties. He's overqualified for that, but that's what you need. Like you need guys who are just extremely overqualified for their roles, unless you're at the top, because then you just can't be. But like as you work your way down the roster, like yeah, like we've talked about this in the past with like Pat Connaughton, right? Like Pat Connaughton could easily be a starter on this team. He easily could be. He slots in really well with like the core 4 and theoretically solves all of their like who's the 5th starter issues that we've been debating as long as we've had this podcast. But he's better as a 6-man. He's overqualified to be a 6-man, and that's why he thrives in that role. Like it's what you do in these situations. Like so I wouldn't be that upset with Jrue Holiday like having to share some of the ball handling responsibilities. Sure, is that underutilizing him? Maybe a little. Is it for the best? Yes. Do you like if you need him to, can he take these roles? Yes. But do you like that's what you want. Like you want to be prepared for like emergencies. So if you have guys who are overqualified in their roles, it's like if they need to step up, they can. Like you don't want guys who like need to step up more than they're used to in their comfort zone. You want guys who are capable of stepping up into a role that they might be thrust into.
So do you think Tyus Jones would be a good 5th starter on the Bucks?
That's a different question.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on him as a starting point guard, not on this team.
I'm not completely sold on Tyus Jones. I like Tyus Jones. He's a great point.
He's turnover. He's the king. Yeah.
He's a great player, and I think he is perfect for his role because like he could be the starting point guard on a lot of like middling NBA teams.
Yeah.
Like
I get shades of Monte Morris.
He could be the starter on the Suns.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're just going to need people at a certain point. Jonathan Goodwin might start games there, so.
It's just like, but do you want him to be in that role? It's what I was getting to earlier. Like he's overqualified to be a starting or to be a reserve
point guard.
Yeah, a backup point guard. But on an elite team, he shouldn't be a starting point guard.
Yeah. I agree. Like the Monte Morris people have talked about, all the Wizards guys now are up for grabs. I mean, I don't know. Probably not, actually. I wouldn't trade for him because he makes $10 million. And the thing is, you can look at a guy who makes $10 million and available and be like, oh, I'd like to have that player on the Bucks. Would I like to have him more than – and I'm just going to put Pat aside. I'm just going to be frank. I think Pat's a 16-game guy. I'd rather trade Grayson or Bobby. I know they're a little younger, but that's just where I'm at. You can sub in Pat if you want mentally in this exercise. It doesn't really matter. But, would I give up Grayson or Bobby Portis to get Monte Morris? No, I would not do that. And I think it also plays for the guys who make about double them, because then you have to do the different math of, would I give up Grayson and Bobby to get this player? So Collin Sexton is probably available. A lot of people high on Collin Sexton. I like Collin Sexton. I think he'd be a good gamble. Can I give up Bobby and Grayson to get Collin Sexton? I don't think Utah does that, one. And two, no, I probably wouldn't do that.
I might do that.
I don't know if I trust him enough.
I might do that.
You're in on the Sex Man?
Yeah, I'm in on the Sex Man.
I have a shirt from the Chase Down pod that says Sexland when they had him and Darius Garland. We'll have to come up with a new sex thing.
Yeah, I'm sure Giannis will be able to get that going right away.
Giannis will be all over it for sure.
He'll be like, it's what is that, unseen freaky hours or whatever he said.
Unseen sex hours.
Oh man, but I'm in on Collin Sexton. I was hoping maybe the Bucks could try and prime away before he was sign and trade for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
But the issue is here is as we're going through this exercise is that while there are a lot of point guards, there's a lot of point guard depth in the NBA, there's not a lot of room for massive upgrades if you're the Bucks, which is it's a little bit of the issue. And while I said that in terms of my roster construction, I would want a ball handler to score and then flexibility in the front court, it might be more feasible to get the front court player rather than the ball handler, because it's the teams that have the ball handler, unless it's Damian Lillard, why are they giving them up?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who are the guys by the way, also not Kyrie.
Not feasible, and just no thanks.
Yeah, no thanks.
Should we have the Chris Paul conversation? I'm kind of confused. Why are people so excited? Have you seen the last three postseasons?
I think
he's not going to be there. We know this. If the Bucks sign him, fine. Sure.
What if you just don't play him in the regular season?
I think it'd be the Wes Matthews diet. I think the Bucks are well positioned to do it. I've heard he wants to be on the West Coast. I mean, I just assume he's going to be on an LA team. Windhorst was he would like to be on the West Coast. He mentioned Houston as an option. It's close to the LA or winning.
Classic coastal team, Houston.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're close. I don't know how far Houston is. Whatever. I mean, listen, I'm not saying I'd be mad if the Bucks signed him, but do I think he's this cure-all at this point in his career? Not really.
No. Would I be upset at Chris Paul signing for a vet min? Absolutely not. I would not be upset about that at all. If he's a sizable free agent acquisition, I'd be a little concerned. Well,
they're maybe going to have – they're either going to have a $5.5 million exception or none, depending on the second apron. It'll come down to the Chris contract, which we'll talk about. I always say everything's a little later. We'll talk about it a little later. Not in too much detail because the option, as we record, is due tomorrow. And I just know if we talk about it a lot, it's going to get accepted or declined 1 minute after I hit publish. I just don't want to do that. It's just how it goes. So
it's usually what happens.
I have a fake trade with Sexton I'm more interested in.
Okay, let's hear it.
Sexton and Ochai Agbaji, who is the young wing that Cleveland had drafted and then sent over, started the year pretty bad. Started to hit threes toward the end. Ended up shooting 35%. So he's through 1 year of a rookie deal. For Grayson, Bobby in the first.
I don't think Utah does that.
I think the first has to be there. That's for sure.
The first has to be there.
I think they like Agbaji. I think you're right. I think they kind of want to get rid of Sexton. I don't think they want to get rid of him. But the issue is there's not really another guy who you can throw in to equal those salaries who the Bucks would want. Rudy Gay's going to opt in. that's not a valuable throw-in for me if I'm Milwaukee.
I wouldn't be upset at Rudy Gay.
He's fine. He doesn't solve the problem of, hey, our roster's ancient. 36-year-old Rudy Gay is not helping there. Otherwise, it's like Simon Fontecchio, who I think stinks. Damian Jones, who I know stinks. Like,
bro, when I got the Woj notification that Damian Jones opted in to his contract, my first thought was, good for Damian Jones still being in the NBA.
$2.8 million forgot he was on the Jazz. $2.8 million. That was another guy. I think he was on the Warriors. And they're like, how'd the Warriors get this guy?
Damian Jones and Jordan Bell.
Are you kidding me, NBA?
I'm surprised I didn't see Jordan Bell when I went to Real Madrid versus some other team.
Too bad you didn't. Fun player to watch live, I'm sure.
But quick aside on that.
Yeah,
it was an incredible experience to watch Gershon Yabusele be the best player on
Dancing Bear.
It was an electric experience. There's like, I didn't get a video of it, but you have a stadium of 17,000 people chanting Yabusele, and it's just like, this is what life is. Like, it's incredible. Like, this is what I live for. But yeah,
there is a sneaky hoop sicko thing that it feels amazing. Is if you're watching like an international competition or a different league, and you recognize a guy and he plays well. It's like a light bulb just goes off. It's like I have to imagine it's like when cavemen first figured out fire. Same feeling, same base feeling of just like, this is good. This is right. This is powerful. That's me seeing, like, I don't know. I don't even know who play well overseas.
Brandon Knight in Puerto Rico. Or no,
I'm not watching Puerto Rican tape, to be quite honest with you.
Eddie Tavares was on that team. Mario Hezonja.
So it was a who's game. I remember that guy for sure.
Yeah, on the other team, Henry Ellenson, Marquette legend.
Did he play?
He was good for the other team.
Oh, good.
Oh.
I think the next Marquette first rounder is going to be better in the NBA than him.
Yeah, let's hope so.
But yeah, that's the thing about Sexton, though. I would really like another NBA player coming back in that deal. And I just don't know how you do that unless you can get Agbaji. I don't know if you can get him.
I don't think that's feasible. Like, you have to, again, I don't understand. I don't see a way for Utah to really accept that deal unless Danny Ainge is like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, 1 first is just not. And I don't know if I'd want to do it if you're the Milwaukee, if you have to give up Marjan too. Because at that point, it's just like, well, what if you lose the wing roulette there, and then you kind of cooked yourself.
Yeah, it's just it's too unfeasible, and it's just too much of a risk. Really.
So to recap, we're both mostly out on Tyus. I assume it's going to be hard to get him. I mean, Grizzlies really like him. Ja's out for 25 games. Like, just doesn't feel worth the squeeze to me. You're in on the Sex Man. I'm more dubious. And I'm the one who tweeted after the trade, are we sure Donovan Mitchell is going to be that much better than Collin Sexton? So far, yeah, he definitely has been. But let's see. I mean, if Sexton
he's also young.
He's 24. Just really felt like he didn't fit in Utah. I'm kind of glad they're trading him, even if he doesn't go to the Bucks, because it just feels like they don't care for him that much. I like what he's like a legit scorer. Doesn't pass the ball much, though.
But like the Bucks don't really need that. They have other creative.
But I think he needs the ball. I don't know. He doesn't scream Bucksy to me. I don't know, but they have a new coaching staff now, so who knows?
I was like, we don't know what Bucksy means anymore, Ty.
I think we have a pretty good idea.
We do, but things changed.
They do. Who else did I have highlighted? Are there any other Wizards guys who interest you now that they're clearly tearing down?
Brook leaves. Can you get Kristaps?
I had a Warriors, not a coverage person, like with sources, just like a fan. What up, Tyler? My buddy Tyler. He was like, he wanted to give up like one of the young guys, like the 2 good young guys, and Jordan Poole and a first for Kristaps. And I was like, wow, he had a good year. I don't know about all that. Clearly, that's way out of the Bucks range. He's opted in, so you'd have to trade like 2 starters and a first probably to get him. I can't spend that many resources on center if we're bringing Brook back, and I'd rather
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. If this is contingent on Brook not coming back,
it'd be a fun fit. I don't trust him to stay healthy, of course, but he did last year. He had a really good year. I mean, he's probably going to get traded and play well somewhere. I like Kispert. I don't know why they'd trade him.
No, they're not going to trade him. I mean, who knows? Who knows what Michael Winger is going to do?
Yeah.
But, I mean, he included some of his good players in the Bradley Beal trade, so
really wanted that fresh start.
I mean, if you have the power, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not a ton of guard options out there. Like I'm starting to talk myself into Zach LaVine, and it's just like we're in the bad place.
I'm trying to look here. Who else?
Again, like I've mentioned this name before, and like if we're talking like shot creators, it doesn't necessarily have to come as a guard. Like, can you get Paul George?
I don't think the Clippers will do nothing. I don't know if they will trade Paul George for Jrue Holiday and stuff. I would certainly be interested in exploring that.
I mean, you would have to take that risk, right?
Yeah, I think if you're the Bucks, yeah. Although, but again, it comes back to the Beal thing, and people were winning me over with this in terms of you should trade Khris instead of Jrue simply for the injuries. Imagine trying to watch 82 games of hoop, and just every time Khris or Paul George falls, you're just like, oh God. Oh no. I don't know if you can do that. Jrue's been pretty resilient.
Jrue has been resilient. I don't know. I know that Khris is the more valuable player to the Bucks.
Yeah, I agree. Also better in the playoffs generally.
Yeah. And Paul George has actually like shown that he can be good in the playoffs again.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. Would you do the Anthony Simons and 3 for Jrue Holiday thing?
I would. I don't think Portland does it.
It's like
because like it's not even just for 3, like because in my eyes that's a 3-team trade, because it turns into what can the Bucks get for Anthony Simons and number 3.
I think you keep Simons. I think Simons fits great. I mean, a really young point guard he's in that rare air of how many threes he takes a game. Like it's like, I mean, yeah, that's a good skill set on this team.
It is, but it's like if you're going to take a young guy, why not take the guy who's not going to be up for an extension immediately?
Well, because you don't know if he can play yet. I mean, you got Giannis. The thing about that trade, like 3 is the part I like less. And I think it's going to be a great player, whether it's Scoot or Brandon Miller. But like Brandon Miller's rim finishing, Scoot's outside shooting, like they're both 19, I think. You know, is a 19-year-old going to help Giannis win a title when in his age 28, 29, 30 seasons? Probably not that much. Like, Ja kind of hit the ground running, and they weren't winning until his 3rd year. So even if someone like Scoot develops relatively fast, it just takes a while. I would rather keep Simons, who I think can play for sure. Can you flip 3? Can you go get like a... I mean, clearly you can't get any Raptor because they're all too expensive. But can you go get a big wing somewhere to add in? Can you get Brandon Ingram?
That's what I was gonna say. Like, can you get Brandon Ingram for like that's exactly the player I was thinking of.
And but the issue is, and I know we talked about this with other deals. You know, if the Bucks were able to turn Jrue Holiday into Brandon Ingram and Anthony Simons, I feel like someone could probably outbid them to do so, because that's obviously an incredible offseason.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's just all dependent. Like you would say that would happen because Portland or Dame is like, hey, I want Jrue Holiday.
Yeah.
It's like Kawhi saying, hey, I want Paul George.
Yeah, that's, I guess.
Or Giannis saying, I want Jrue.
Yeah.
If Jrue is on a list that Damian Lillard has, like, you go and get the guy.
Sure sounds like they keep sniffing around the Raptors guys and the Pelicans guys, though.
Yeah, the Raptors are on the same level as the Heat, so.
Not FEV, excuse me. Gary Trent opting in today. I thought it was pretty surprising. It's not a big option. I'm sure he's going to extend. And
19?
I thought it was even less than that. Maybe it's not. I thought it was like 15. 19 or 18 maybe makes more sense. But I guess not a lot of money out there for him. I guess that makes sense. But I feel like they're going to run it back. They love it. They can't get enough of their crappy offense and uninspiring wings and everything else.
Yeah, but like getting back to Portland's deal, like Anthony Simons at number 3. I think if I would be tempted to keep number 3. Like I know that's very light years of me to do, but I'd be tempted because again, like then if you're trading 3, how do you get the salary to go get Brandon Ingram?
Bobby and Grayson.
I don't think that's enough.
Let me see what he makes. I'll tell you this. I will say this. If it is Scoot Henderson at 3, I'll hear you out more. Because I think Scoot has a higher likelihood of, oh no, it's not enough. Brandon Ingram makes like $34 million a year. Yeah, it's tough. Although Anthony Simons makes less. So I think if you set Drew...
I mean, but then Simons makes 24, 25, something like that.
So I'll test it now in the trade machine. I think that works.
Yeah, you can do Simons plus Bobby or something.
But to be clear, I think this is a fantasy world.
Oh, absolutely. But it's like, who knows? It might not be a fantasy world. We just saw Bradley Beal get traded to the Sun.
Yeah, but Anthony Simons and Brandon Ingram don't have no trade clauses is the issue.
That's
yeah, actually, if the Bucks sent Bobby, Grayson, and Drew and brought back Ingram and Simons, it's within $500K how close all those salaries match.
Perfect.
I mean,
and you keep number 3 in that scenario, or you trade.
No, that number 3 goes to I'm bringing in Simons there, so number 3 goes to New Orleans.
Okay.
So the Bucks now have Simons, Middleton, Ingram, Giannis, probably Brook. They really need some defense again.
Yeah.
That's been an issue with some of these.
That would be a home run for the Bucks, but it's not feasible.
What if it's a Khris sign and trade instead? That looks better. I love Khris. I don't want to trade Khris, but Simons, Holiday, Ingram, Giannis is insane. Again, but let's just move on because I don't want to get people.
Yeah,
people are going to be in the Discord going Simons, Ingram. I can't wait. It's not going to happen. I don't think to my reasoning why I don't think Drew is going to be enough for Simons and 3, unless Portland is just like Messiah said no. New Orleans has said no to sending Zion. It sounds like they don't really want Ingram. And they're just like, we need a guy, and Drew is next up, and we just need this. I just don't think that'll happen. That's the only way.
Yeah, that's fair. Should we talk about some front court options?
Yeah, who are you looking at?
Our guy, Ty. It's Kenny Hustle.
Oh yeah, I love Kenny Hustle.
Tell me about Kenny Hustle.
So it's funny. 2K makes him out to be like a sniper who's not a good defender. I think the opposite is closer to true. I think he's a very good defender who can shoot the 3, although it's not. I don't know if he's a knockdown 3-point shooter, but I just think, although he said he wants to retire in OKC, which is an insane thing to say.
Don't say that it's insane. It's fun. We like guys like that.
I get. I mean, just be realistic. Also, you're Kenrich Williams. You're not Drew Holiday. I mean, come on.
But they've retired like Nick Collison's dream.
Yeah, they're upset. I don't get that either. It's just an OKC thing, I guess. I'm just gonna know I don't. I'm cool with it. It's fine. He shot 37% last year. Actually had a down year the year before when I wanted the Bucks to get him at the deadline. But just a really good wing defender. He's like 6'8", I think, so he has some legit size. I listed it as 6'6", actually, but. And I just think he'd be a plug-and-play, great defensive wing option, and a little younger. On the Giannis timeline, he's only 28 years old.
Yeah, and this is, to be clear, like, can you try and fill that PJ Tucker void?
Yeah, this is that kind of player for sure.
Yeah. Can you trade for PJ Tucker?
I was thinking about that before we started. Would we feel like that's enough if they had PJ instead of like Crowder? Or I think we'd want one more wings, right? Because he is, outside of the one game a year in the playoffs, like the Sixers saw, he's going to shoot like 10 times in the total. He's going to make 10 threes in a 4-round playoff run, right? Like,
yeah, but that's not what he's valuable for.
Yeah, but that's what you need probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I love PJ. I think he would help, but I still think I'm not saying we'd want to get rid of him, but we'd probably be like, yeah, they could probably use some more.
Yeah, that's fair. That's understandable. I didn't even consider that. I just thought of it right now.
Yeah.
The issue with like the Bucks have like learned this obviously after they did not re-sign PJ Tucker is that it's really, really hard to find guys who fit specific roles because otherwise they would be, I don't know, more prevalent. Like, I don't know, maybe like who I'm trying to think, like Dwight Powell. Does he fit that?
I think he's more of a, he'd be interesting. The Mavs are always just giving away their role players, it seems like. I find him interesting.
Like Dwight Powell, like do you
more of a big?
Yeah, but he's like what, 6'9"?
I thought he was bigger. 6'10". I think he's. I always thought he was. He can defend down. That's interesting.
Yeah, like Dwight Powell is someone I would be interested in if I were the Bucks. It's just like, what's his contract looking like? Should have pulled this up beforehand. Dwight Powell, like
it's like the 10 million number.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. He's a free agent.
Oh, I assume they'll bring him back. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't outbid anyone, so it kind of has to be guys who are like cut loose. I have a free agent who I think would be a great fit in this mold. Can we get some Yuta Watanabe?
Yuta Watanabe. I would love some Yuta.
All he does is just like float under the radar. Nobody talks about him. Just going to hit 39% from the corners again and play solid defense. Like, I think he'd be a great fit in Milwaukee. Coming from the Nets, where they have a billion wing players, so it would not surprise me if he was not a priority for them. If you get Yuta on the vet minimum, that'd be huge.
Yeah, I think he's been linked to Phoenix, but I could be wrong.
Of course.
But no, Yuta would be amazing. He's shown he has a little bit of juice when he has the ball in his hands too. Like he can attack closeouts as well. He can be a sniper. Like he can hold his own on defense. Like I'd definitely down for Yuta. I just don't know if it's really feasible because I think he's going to be a hot commodity this offseason.
You would think so, but then I feel like there's always a couple guys who it's like, how did he go for vet min or whatever exception?
Especially with the way contract. I'm really interested to see what contracts are going to be like this offseason.
With like the 5 teams who have cap space are kind of bad. So
there's going to be no middle class of contract.
Yeah, which is probably why Trent opted in.
Yeah, there's no middle. You're either going to be making the max or you're going to be making the mid level or lower.
Yeah, so. If the Bucks have that mini mid-level, I think there Yuta could be an option. Vet min may be difficult, but we'll see. I mean, I do think I can't think of a good example right now, but I think most years there's usually a couple of those wing players who haven't really started much or aren't, hot commodities. And it's just like, wow, that guy couldn't get more. I mean, Caleb Martin was a two-way who barely got into camp. Like, there's value out there.
Yeah. There's always those guys, which is why you need guys who are player development guys like Adrian Griffin.
Yeah. The wizard I'm most interested in is Deni Avdija.
I'm interested in some Deni.
Deni is like I think mostly a defender, but also can handle the ball and really you trust him to make good decisions. Like the thing about Deni,
I don't know if I trust him to make good decisions.
You don't? I think he's a good ball handler.
I think he's all right.
Oh, let me pull up a little statistic here, but I think he's the kind of guy who, can you, instead of adding a point guard to the rotation, can you get enough ball handling around so that the ball just moves enough so we're not relying on any one player as much?
Didn't the Bucks just try that though with Joe?
No, but Deni is like he's also quicker. A good defender. Yeah, he's like an athlete and he can move off ball and cut and stuff. He's not as good of a shooter. He's 31% for his career. But he's averaging about 2.5 assists cumulative over the last 2 years to, less 1.5 turnovers. His career assist to turnover is 2-1 to 1-1. So he's not a point guard, but he's not, he handles the ball a bit and doesn't turn it over very much.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'd be interested for sure.
He's still only 22. I thought he was a little older.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah. No, he's young. He's just been on the Wizards.
Yeah, I don't know if they'd want to get rid of him either. It's the Kispert thing all over again.
Exactly.
But you never know who they're in or out on.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think? What about some Draymond?
Oh, God. Some No.
I don't hate it.
No, I do.
Why?
Doesn't shoot. Very loud. Punches people.
That's fair.
It's cute with Bobby, but that was, not a teammate. Actually, it was a teammate.
It was a teammate.
But it was someone we hated, though.
I mean, we only hated after the fact.
Yeah.
And Warriors fans don't really like Jordan Poole right now, so.
That's true. I don't know. I think you can't keep him and Bobby. I don't think you can have two punchers. That feels like too much.
Or they keep each other in check.
That sounds dangerous.
No, it's like you can't be that guy because there's another guy.
I don't know if that's how that works. I don't think it is. Something tells me. No, I just think there's no way to get him, and I think skill set wise, it's a very bad fit.
He wants a big contract, and he's not gonna the Bucks cannot offer him that big contract.
He's going to the Lakers or the Warriors. He's either going to play with his favorite superstar in the league or Steph Curry,
who he's currently in France with.
LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew you were talking about
LeBron. Yeah. Always fun to.
Oh yeah. This is a tough. I'm looking at some free agents now. This is kind of a tough free agency class.
I think there's some interesting potential. Oh, the other Buddy Hield's the other one I wanted to talk.
Oh, Buddy Hield, yeah, is the other one. We floated that on our Bleacher Report stream last week. But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, it's like two rotation guys for Buddy Hield.
I think Buddy Hield provides exactly what the Bucks need, though.
Do you trust him in the playoffs? Is the question. I don't know if I do.
Why not?
Defense?
I mean, he's not a turnstile on defense.
Isn't he?
Not really.
I mean, he is the interesting thing would be we just haven't seen the Bucks have a high volume 3 bomber like that before. And it's could that be a force multiplier? I mean, over the last
he's also never played in the playoffs.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, Kings and Pacers, that'll do it. And a little bit of Pelicans, but he didn't finish the season there. 39%
Steph Curry, remember?
39% on 9 threes per game over the last 3 seasons, playing with bad players.
He'd get a higher quality of looks on the Bucks. And it's if you're already doing that with a lower shot quality, and I don't know. I think he's a perfect Milwaukee Buck.
He can handle the ball a bit too. 3.1 assists to 1.8 turnovers in that time. He's passing a bit.
I trust him.
He's 30 now. Turns 31 in December. So
that's crazy. Remember when he was just oh, by the way, I'm not as old as I'm listed. I'm actually a year older.
Yeah, which is playing against him now.
I mean, 30's not old.
31 in December. It's older than Grayson and Bobby.
It's older than Bradley Beal.
That's crazy. He's been in the league 3 less years.
Yeah.
Oof. I'm into it. I mean, I wouldn't want to give up draft comp.
No, absolutely.
If you can get draft comp, also, if it's Buddy and something for those 2 guys, then I think I'm in.
See, the thing is, Sacramento's competent now, so we can't.
It's not Sacramento, thankfully.
Or it's not Sacramento. Indiana is competent in some way. I don't know why it's in Sacramento.
Yeah, can you get their worst first? I think they have 3.
I think so. One of them's from the Bucks, isn't it? No, they traded that.
I don't know if they did.
I think they might have. I think the Wizards have it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I could just.
The Clippers have it now.
The Clippers have it. Interesting.
That was the PJ trade. PJ and then Luke Kennard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
if you don't have to give up draft comp, I don't think you get draft comp either, to be clear. I think it's a straight player for player, players for player.
Maybe. I see the upside, but I'd be worried about it. Like, Bobby and Grayson aren't bad.
No, they're not. But I think Buddy is way better for a fit for this Bucks team than both Grayson and Bobby.
That's fair. Your son.
Yeah, my son.
You've seen enough.
I want to see him thrive.
Playoffs, though.
He did have a good playoffs, and I believe in him. I think Buddy's better.
Okay. Yeah, he probably is.
And who knows? Like Grayson could thrive in Indiana. They'd love him there.
I would love to. They have 29, 26, and a lottery pick. 7. Indy does. I think you're right. You probably don't get 29. Although, who knows these days? They really want that power honestly, forward? Are they sold on Bobby Portis? Probably not. Probably not.
But if you're a team that wants to win and like compete for a playoff spot, you're probably selling yourself on that.
Yeah, but then maybe you just want Buddy Hield. Although they have a lot of guards. That's the other thing.
Exactly. Like if you're getting like Bobby also plays well next to Miles Turner.
Yeah, it'd be a fun team in Indiana. Grayson's a little bigger than Buddy. At least plays a little bigger. And he's younger. You get younger too, and you're a young team.
I think it's a good trade for both teams, honestly.
I do too. Buddy's 6'4", kind of a slighter guy. The other thing about Buddy I like is he's an Iron Man.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is his games year over year. 82, 80, 82, 72, 71. But I think those are the COVID shortened. Or no, not one of them. Oh yeah, they both are.
No, they both are.
81 to 80. So he's missed max 2 games in a season?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah, they played 72 in the 1 year that he played 71. Yeah, so that would be a nice trait to add to this Bucks team, that's for sure.
Exactly. It's one thing you don't like. I don't know. I'm very, very high on this trade. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Just a perfect fit for this team. He's going to get so many good shots, can handle the ball, and is durable. Like, again, the one thing is just the playoff experience, which there is 0.
Yeah. But you would hope, just keep shooting. That's all we need. The thing is,
he's also just been reliable year over year.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't expect such a drop-off considering how consistent he is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Other free agents. Svi Mykhailiuk?
I don't know.
You're not saying we to Svi?
I'm not saying we to Svi.
I like Svi. People are going to be so disgusted. We'll do a full free agency pod after the draft sometime, but the names we're going to be talking about. Are you in on Udoka Azubuike? Do you know who that is? Did I get you? I know this because my player on 2K was on the Jazz. He is a Jazz center. There is nothing unique or nothing that stands out about him. I won't tag him in this pod on YouTube. I don't want him to find this pod. But he's just like the most generic, not good center. And they drafted him in the first round, right before somebody good.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That is a massive yikes.
He's 24, center. He's big. Matthew Dellavedova.
He's already signed in Australia.
Oh, yeah, rip.
He signed before the season was over.
That's
the actual NBA season.
Some good self-awareness.
Not sure how legal that is, but I think the end. Honestly, his contract wasn't over yet.
They let him out. They let him out. Yeah. JaMychal Green is interesting. If the Warriors let him get away.
He was all right for the Warriors. Trey Lyles, does he do anything for you?
Kind of. I'm still a Darius Bazley believer. I think the Suns are just going to keep all their guys because that's the only way to they just need to. They need to fill out a team. But if they let Bazley walk, I'd give him a flyer.
They're not going to let Josh Okogie go, but I'd be interested.
That would be yeah, he's good.
He's actually really good.
Something I've taken away recently. Javon Carter stands out on this list. If the Bucks can retain him, and it looks like they will be able to, that should be a priority.
Absolutely, should be one of their top priorities. Man, this is a tough free agency list.
I'd give Frankie Smokes a chance. Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah, you bring Dante.
I'd bring Dante back. So I do think athleticism should be a priority.
I wouldn't be upset with Dante coming back.
No.
I wouldn't be upset. He has a what is it like around a $5 million player option.
I have to imagine if he opts out, he'll want that much.
And if the Bucks have that available,
here's a name. This is one of my like sicko. Like, oh, I would love that. I would be so excited. Keita Bates-Diop. I think he can play.
Is he your Bismack of this year? It worked out for you. Bismack produced.
I kind of worry that he's my Ojale.
Oh.
I kind of worry that.
Wait, you're who? You're number 37?
Yeah, my number 37. Just like a tweener wing who you feel like can defend. And this year pulled it together and shot 39% from three after not being a very good shooter. So maybe that's smoke. Maybe he figured it out. But that's like, and he was on the Spurs. So I don't think Spurs are going to be looking to retain that many power forwards considering who they have coming in. Also, apparently shares a birthday with me.
Brandon Miller? Oh.
Huh?
He does share? I was joking that the Spurs are going to draft Brandon Miller.
Oh, no. Yeah, and one year after.
Nice.
I did not even know that. No wonder I like him so much.
Birthday twins.
Yeah.
You into astrology, Ty?
Nah, I know I'm an Aquarius, but that's about it.
Oh man, do you think the Suns? T.J. Warren?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
They were like out of players, and they still weren't really letting him play. I guess that's true for Baisley as well.
Yeah.
Could you talk me into Terrence Ross though? Probably.
Can you convince UD to not retire?
No, I don't think you can. Here's a question for you.
Shoot.
Instead of just throwing names around, is Shake Milton going to be out there for Vetman?
Probably not.
Probably not, but maybe.
Maybe. He could be.
Kind of an interesting.
Why? Talk to me about Shake Milton.
Oh, he just seems like a guy to me where he's like, could be an intriguing combo guard, but has not really ever gotten that much run. He's been a spot starter in Philly, but he's been like a 20-minute-a-game guy. And just seems like someone who could maybe blossom with a little bit more usage, like has sported a good assist-to-turnover ratio. His shooting's been all over the place, but now that Harden is there, there's really not that much on, and obviously Tyrese Maxey as well. There's not that much time on the ball. Like, this is a guy I look at and it's like, could they sell him on being like a sixth man or a third guard or something? And like having a real role on this team, a bigger role than he could have behind Maxey and probably Harden on the Sixers if he is going to leave. He intrigues me. I'm very intrigued. And according to B-Ball Ref, his nickname is Protein Shake.
Oh, man. Oh, that's funny.
I'm guessing no. I'm guessing no.
No, probably. I would guess not.
Maybe the mini MLE if they get it. Maybe.
Here's a name.
Okay.
Jakob Poeltl.
How?
I don't know. Could you like convince him to take a discount?
No. They're going to sign him for like $80 million.
He said he wants to play for a winning team.
The Raptors think they're the Heat. All they have to do is convince him.
Yeah, but again, like he probably doesn't think.
Where does that name come from? That's insane.
I mean, like,
I'm over here digging through the Lamar Stevens pile, and you throw Jakob Poeltl at me.
Do you think he has some age? Like, do you think he's buddies with Adrian Griffin?
Maybe. Do I think he's buddies enough to take $5 million instead of $80 million? I do not.
Did you sign the trade?
Bucks probably can't. Not if they're taking back Jakob Poeltl. That's a first apron thing, I think. I'm over here like, Goga Batazdi, Najee Marshall. Rohan's like, can we make Jakob Poeltl work?
I don't know.
You got sick of this end of the list, didn't you?
I did. I'm sick of this entire free agency list. It's garbage. Like, this is a trash free agent class. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I'm scrolling on Spot Track. Like, the top end is like, oh my god, what is this? Like, D'Angelo Russell's near the top. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's really, and especially if Khris resigns, Harden resigns, Kyrie resigns, and Porzingis already opted in. then is Fred VanVleet the best player who will hit actual free agency?
Yeah, him, Jeremy Grant, like
we're talking about, yeah. I mean, both guys you like on the Bucks, it's not going to happen because they just won't have any money.
Can you convince Harrison Barnes to chase a ring? That'd be really fun. I'd love Harrison Barnes.
Oh yeah, we've always been high on Harrison Barnes.
Yeah, like I'm all the way in on that. Like, can you convince him to take a discount?
I'm guessing he'll get a full MLE, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, he's made a lot of money.
That'd be like a seismic get. I think. Still only 31.
Exactly. Like, is he really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
If you can get Harrison Barnes, like that would be a home run offseason. If you do nothing else besides sign Harrison Barnes, you've won the offseason.
I've got a buy low name if he gets I think he's on a non-guaranteed team option right now. Did not cover himself in glory at all, but didn't get that much opportunity this last year.
You're really not selling me at all.
Malik Beasley.
Absolutely not.
No? You're just out?
No, I'm out. I'm all the way out.
I mean, the last time I liked a guy named Malik, it worked out for him. I'm just saying. I don't even like him that much. I think he kind of stinks, but
I'm good. You want like
people ask me, Russell Westbrook?
I wouldn't be upset about it.
I would. Come on.
Russ for a vet min?
Worst fit possible.
As a reserve?
Yeah, I just don't think it's. As
a reserve, I wouldn't be upset about it.
I just don't like. Like, I just can't see it working with him and Giannis. Maybe he's athletic enough.
You don't need it to though.
I mean, I don't care that much about the 10 minutes a game that are in the playoffs. They're the non. I mean, yeah, get you through the regular season.
Those 10 minutes we've seen, Ty. Those 10 minutes are really important.
Yeah.
Because those usually end up being the deciding factor in games.
It'd be interesting. I'd be stunned.
I wouldn't be upset about it.
Do you have to start him, though? Like, I don't know if Russ wants to. Well,
no, he came off the bench in LA.
That's true.
He wasn't happy about it, but he did it.
Would you rather have Russ or Chris Paul? I think it's a real question.
Let's throw John Wall in here. Let's get all
not John Wall. I know that. I liked him in the summer a lot, but
that's the carousel of point guards that they've done.
I think you could talk me into Russ over CP, which people will find insane. But he plays. That matters. He's there for the games.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I would still maybe prefer Chris Paul. Because, like, at the end of the day, like, you're right, you could play Chris Paul in a lineup with Giannis. And it would work.
Yeah, you might be right. For the Clippers, I think I prefer Russ. For the Bucks, it's tough.
I wouldn't be upset at Russell Westbrook. That's all I'm saying.
I find it hard to see a world where he's like the only, or where they get like Russ and multiple other free agents. I would just worry about like not assets to be like a vet min or the mini MLE, but just like your resource allocation for who you're going after. Like, I'd rather be convincing Yuta to sign than Russ.
Yeah.
If you can get him, fair. If you can get the guys you want and also Russ, then great. I mean, what if it goes wrong? Just let him go. But one last probably mini MLE candidate. Probably won't make too much. Probably. I don't know. Seth Curry?
Wouldn't hate it.
You're not excited?
Wouldn't love it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's kind of has the same issues that some other guys on the Bucks have.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely not keeping Ingles if you bring in Seth Curry.
Yeah, and is he better than Grayson?
No, I don't think so. But he's more shooting. But yeah, I guess is he better than Javon Carter?
I don't think so.
Javon hasn't played that well in the playoffs, and I don't know. I've been thinking about this recently. I kind of wish they'd just play him more all the time. I do think the variance
to see what happens.
Yeah, like
because he thrives when he's in a consistent role.
I kind of liked him
when it's up in the air. It's just that's when it starts to get
if they get like a Levine or like in the Beal scenario, kind of like Javon as the starter next to another Like just add in that defense and shot making, the Deli ideal. Something there. I really hope they re-sign him. I know they've already uncovered more than we expected. I think there's still more.
Yeah, for sure. What if he opts in, trying to get I don't know.
Opt in and extend the Pat Connaughton.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't think Pat would either. He's not leaving. He won't leave the facility. Josh Richardson?
No.
Kind of decent the last couple of years.
It's all right. Do you want him next to Giannis?
He's been shooting a little better. 38.8% the last 2 years.
On volume?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
No.
4 attempts per game.
It's not a lot.
That's decent.
It's all right. Like
probably
Giannis
has the ball too much.
10-point
scorer. Well, Giannis shouldn't, but that's a different. Still only 29. Doesn't turn 30 until September.
Yeah.
Vet min like Josh Hart is. That's exciting.
I wouldn't. Josh Richardson.
Josh Richardson. Josh Hart would be really fun.
If Josh Hart on a vet min, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, that's not happening, but
I would be in on. I've been in on Josh Hart for years.
How do you feel about the Pistons opting in on Alec Burks?
I have no opinion on it.
Just feels so pissed. They're just like, give me all the contracts.
I have no opinion on Alec Burks.
My conspiracy theory today was they hired Monte just to make sure Troy Weaver wouldn't take on DeAndre Ayton. Because otherwise, I mean, you talk a distressed big man available for matching salary role players. Are you kidding me?
Troy he's all over that.
He gave Marvin Bagley $40 million a year. He'd be like, yeah, Alec Burks, Killian Hayes, take all these guys, but you can't have Marvin Bagley, you can't have Wiseman, you can't have Duran, you can't have Beef Stew. These are mine. Take whatever else you want. Hey, Bojan and Alec Burks, go ahead. Bojan, there's a name.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we back on Bojan?
I'm not back on Bojan.
I'm not upset about it. I don't know how feasible it is, just like how we discussed last offseason, or at the trade offseason, yeah.
What is Bojan? Is it still... What is he on next year value-wise? $20 million. So, yeah, it's... you could... but it's... Can you do it without the first? Is still the question. Or Marjon.
Probably.
I think probably, too.
Yeah. And also, like, 24-25, he's on basically a non-guaranteed.
Well, he's 34. I'm less interested now that they look so damn old in the playoffs. That's fine, but I really like if they do that or if they don't do that. Either way, like let's get some of these minimums like athletic wings with upside. Like let's not get the old folks home back together.
Yeah, maybe that changes now that Bud's
yeah, I really hope it does because I just think, if you can find one guy in the Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent world, it's not just the Heat that do this, but you just need to start doing that because
we know that Jon Horst he loves his athletic guys. Like his first pick as a GM was DJ Wilson.
Ugh.
The idea of DJ would have been perfect.
I think it felt like a kid pick, but yes, I mean he is taking Dante and Marjon. I think those are his two real. Yeah. He was on the job for like 3 weeks when DJ was picked.
Man, can you imagine idealized DJ Wilson on this team? He'd be perfect.
Do you remember? I think it was draft night. Jason Kidd joked like he doesn't rebound, so we picked him, and that ended up defining his whole career.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, good scouting report.
Really? Just you love your guy throwing his players under the bus immediately.
Just establish the tone.
Your guy Dylan Brooks.
I saw a report his market's going to be $15 million. I was like, who the hell is giving Dylan Brooks $15 million? More than the MLE?
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe some teams could talk. Yeah, some teams could talk themselves into it.
5 with cap space. Who, Orlando? I don't know
if you want. I don't know. I get to be clear, I don't see it either, but.
Let me pull up real quick just to get the cap idea. Projected practical cap space: Houston, Utah, San Antonio, OKC, Detroit, Indy, Orlando are the teams expected to have real cap space.
Indy?
Maybe. They won a 4, though. Them as a Tobias team, I'm not thinking about that. I don't know what they send, though.
I don't know either.
I would like if Tobias got bought out, which I don't think would ever happen. But if it did, I would love that.
Oh, I would 100% take a Tobias Harris reunion.
Or like in free agency the next year, also like sign me up. Like if he goes to Utah and they just let him go, which I don't think is impossible. I don't know if the Sixers would just dump him like that. Maybe, you never know. But if he hits the market, that would be... You talk about your not super old forward who you can trust to do stuff. Like, I think Tobias is kind of sneakily perfect. And I think the only reason they hate him in Philly is because they gave him that stupid contract. But Tobias as your fourth guy, I maintain, is pretty damn good.
It's really good. Again, he's overqualified for his role, which is what you want.
Yeah, I'd like to do Tobias Harris business. More than Bojan. Is that a hot take?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
But you can't take the contract. Like I'm not saying I want to trade for Tobias. You just can't. You can't. It's like 4 players. You just cannot ever do that.
Yeah. Do we get my guy Lonnie Walker?
Would that be a trade?
No, he's a free agent.
I don't know. I have no idea what the Lakers are gonna do.
I mean, it's they don't have his bird rights.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Bruce Brown scenario.
Yeah.
There's a guy that'd be fun, but if he's gonna take a discount, he's gonna play in Denver.
Or the Joe Ingles situation.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's the
difference is other teams have to want the guy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you still want Joe not back? Are we still agreed on that?
I think I'm okay with Joe.
He's a good player.
Not being back. Yeah.
I'm fine if they bring him back, but I think I'd rather not.
Same.
Yeah. Just they need to fix the old problem.
Yeah, they really do. And Lonnie Walker, he's still relatively young. He's not even 20. He's not even 25 yet. I
would like them to take at least one swing on a wing like that, like a 20s-year-old wing who it's like they can get, and you can see the upside there. Lonnie Walker, Yuta, Keita Bates-Diop, my birthday boy, whoever it is.
Winslow.
I'm
kidding. To be clear, I'm kidding.
Stanley Johnson. Started to hit some shots.
I'm good.
Really?
Whatever happened?
On a vet man, he's just like floating around, I think.
I think something happened.
Oh, what? Really? I
don't remember what happened. Unless I'm tripping.
I hope so.
Okay, maybe not.
He had 1 year. Okay, he had shot 45% from 3 on the Spurs, but like 1 per game, and has not ever done well outside of that. So, but like I'm not saying as your main, but just like as a flyer. Like he's still 27. I think
take a flyer.
He just turned 27.
I'd prefer someone a little younger.
Keita Bates-Diop is too old for you, my guy. No, that's going to be the one this year. I can feel it.
We'll see. I don't know. Again, this list is not very.
Yeah, I think I depressed you.
Yeah. Should we talk about Khris?
Yeah, real quick Khris talk. I tweeted this today. I want your thoughts on it. Which I think this is weird, just in how these things work. I think it's more likely Khris is a Buck for the long haul, for the rest of his career, we'll say, if he opts out versus opting in.
I think that's fair.
Because I think that shows you more of, and maybe he just leaves. I don't think so. That's obviously possible. But I just think that to me, and they're negotiating, it shows you that probably means he's going to take less in year 1 and they're going to work it out versus opting in. And it's like, bam, $40 million. You're probably a second apron team now if Brook comes back, unless you just straight up dump salary, which is difficult to do while you have Giannis. But if he opts out, can you work around with the cap a little bit? Maybe continue signing him on, option deals or something, but avoid that second apron. That's going to be really crucial. So that's the option I think I'd most like to see at this point, assuming it doesn't come with and Khris intends to sign elsewhere, which, again, I'd be pretty shocked. I mean, I just don't see it happening. But that's where I'm at. What do you think about Khris and the option and the free agency in general?
I think it's valid to say that Khris opting out makes it more likely that he remains a Buck for the long haul, because that's like, yeah, like that's the only real option. Because if Khris opts in and you sign him to an extension, he's not going to be able to like sign for like a longer term deal with less money. You're going to want to do like that 120%.
You can step down an extension. It's fine to do.
It's just not common.
Well, it's for older players it can happen, but the problem is you're starting at 40, so you can only step down so much each year. You can't like go to 10, right? So I would think it'll just be more difficult to work in the short term if that's what happens. But I think it's weird because, you know, he's making it so he can sign anywhere, right? Like opting out, you're an unrestricted free agent. You just have to assume that won't happen and there's going to be a deal, which I do think will be the case.
But the Bucks maintain his bird rights to be.
Yeah, so they can still outbid anyone, and they're the only team that can give him a 5th year. And then I think this is important to note. It doesn't have to be the max for that.
No.
Like they could 5 for 100 if they want to, and just flat 20s. Again, I'm not. What do you think? What do you think is a realistic idea for this? I really struggle with these.
What was the number that was floated out there?
Was it like 4/120?
Yeah, I think 4/120.
Oh, where was that? Hold on, let me try and find this quick. You talk about something, anything.
I think like that's like around 30 mil. Like that may seem like a lot, especially if you're getting into like late year like age Khris Middleton. However, like with again, I'll maintain this with like the cap going up and everything consistently going up. 30 mil is not what it used to be. Sorry, what was the number?
4 years, 130.
130. Okay.
So it's a little over. It's a little over 30 mil a year, right?
It's 33.3.
Yeah.
It's just.
It's actually 32.5.
No, it's not. Yeah,
it's
32 and a half. I did the math in my head when I was like, that's wrong. It's 32 and a half mil. It's like it's not as bad as it seems. Would I prefer maybe a little less? Sure. But like how low can you go before you're really like disrespecting a franchise legend?
What do we say, 32.5?
Yeah.
So like Michael Porter Jr. is making 33.3 right now. Like, and the cap continues to go up. CJ McCollum's at 35. Kristaps just opted in 36 million. Right.
Yeah, so again, it's not as bad as it may seem. Like it's easy to take these deals like in traditional values of like I don't know, not even traditional, like 3 years ago, 30 mil. Like 30 mil 3 years ago was like the Supermax. Now the Supermax is almost at $60 million or something.
Yeah. Well, and just look at like what's the cap right now itself is 134 million. So that means what? It's like a quarter of the cap, if that.
Yeah, which isn't like for your second best player, isn't it's what you want.
It's not choking you. Yeah.
No, it's really not. Like
the tax is 160, and that's the real number. Like the cap is not really that relevant. The tax being at 160 means if Khris is on a little over 30 year over year, I think that's very feasible for the Bucks to deal with.
Yeah, and to be like again to put the contract in perspective, remember when Blake Griffin had like the biggest contract ever?
Yeah,
that was his average salary was $34 million.
Well, that's why like with the Beal stuff, everyone's like, oh, he's got the biggest contract ever, and it's like until next year, until the
next contract signed. Yeah,
like, with the cap going up and max is determined as a percentage of the cap, there's going to be a new biggest one every year. I mean, whatever young player or whatever mid-tier player signs his extension is going to be the new biggest one. Actually, will we get one this year? I don't know if anyone will sign a biggest contract ever this year.
What class is it?
Well, I'm just looking at all the guys who are like hitting free agency, and I just don't think because our rookie extensions aren't as big. It's not as big of a cap. So it might still be Bradley Beal for once.
Let's see. Yeah.
Because it doesn't sound like Harden's getting a full thing. Kyrie's probably not. Well, actually, it might be Kyrie. The Mavs might have to.
Yeah,
I'm
years,
looking at 300 million or whatever it is.
I'm looking at extension. Jaylen Brown,
but I don't think it'll be as big.
He's full Supermax eligible.
He's not. Oh, did he make? He made All NBA.
He made All NBA.
Yeah, so he would be then the biggest. Yeah, which is kind of funny in itself. Like, not really a biggest contract in the league kind of player.
Yeah, but that's what the current NBA is and will continue to be for years and years now. Like, these guys are going to get massive contracts, and the contracts are going to keep going up, which means that like the lower salary contracts are going to keep going up. Just because like the Supermax is now like 60 million doesn't mean that your MLE is still going to be like $5 million. Like, no, that increases as well. Like, you have to put these things into perspective.
Yeah. Do you know who has the highest?
Are you okay with 32.5?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Would you prefer it's like 28?
Yeah, of course.
I think 28's better, obviously.
What if it's 28 and ends at 32 or 34 or whatever? Oh, yeah, it'd be 30. Yeah. No, it'd be a little higher. 28 to 36. But 4 years from now, 36. When the cap is, like, I think that's fine.
Or do you front load it?
No, because second apron, I don't think you should. I usually like to front load, but you really want to stay under that thing. And I think, you want to be $5.5 million under it with your full rosters. You can use the exception and stay under it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think 28 to 34 is good. I mean, 34 in 4 years, it's not going to be that big of a hit. It's going to be like a $200 million to the tax at that point, probably.
Yeah.
Do you know who has the biggest average annual value contract right now?
It's Jokic, isn't it?
It is. Giannis is 8th. Brad is 4th, Brad Beal.
Yeah. It's just like, again,
Tobias Harris is 21st.
Yeah. It's another example of just like, you need to put these contracts into perspective. Like, when Giannis signed his deal, it's like, oh my God, this is the biggest deal in NBA history. Now he's 8.
Yeah. Do you have to give him Drew Holiday money? Drew's making 33.7 annually. Hopefully not.
I hope not.
Yeah, we'll see. You got to keep him, though.
You absolutely do have to keep him. And that, to be clear, you do have to keep Khris Middleton, and we shall see.
Yeah. The option, I really hoped it would break on the pod. I thought that would be a lot of fun.
I was like, oh, we've been going for a little bit now, so I was like, hey, maybe.
No.
No,
it's due Wednesday. So I think stuff is usually like either early afternoon or 5 p.m. Eastern, because that's what the league office is. So sometime tomorrow we will know. But again, as I said, most likely outcome right after I hit publish on our platform and it starts to go up. That's when we'll find out. So
okay, you want to talk to us about some draft guys real quick?
I do. Let me throw some names at you. So there's actually first a bit of Bucks news you wanted to weigh in on. The report that they're looking to trade into the 20s or 30s of this draft. I don't think you're buying it, Rohan.
I'm not buying it. I just don't see how they can do it realistically. Like, why are you giving, if you're giving like a player to get into the 20s, why? I don't understand why you're doing that. I understand that this is like lauded as a draft that has a lot of like NBA ready guys deep into the draft. However, are you really going to mortgage your assets to try and do that? I know we've been talking all pod about like trying to get younger, and that's absolutely a way to get younger. Is it worth it if you're in this situation of just like you need your title or bust mode?
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm again, there's other ways to get flyers, like we've talked about, like undrafted guys, like taking like guys who have been on other teams and not really panned out. Like we've talked about that. There are other ways to do it. Sure, would you like a first round pick? Absolutely. Do you want to like how would you even do it? Like, do you trade Grayson Allen for a pick?
Yeah, I've seen like Bobby for the two late Indiana picks, right? And this is something I think I've initially threw out as like a construct, not an actual trade, because I agree with you. You can't do that. I don't. Not even for 2. And I don't even know if that probably is. I think Indy would do that, but I don't think like in the late 20s twice. Like, let's say you get two guys who are on the MarJon track. And we like MarJon. We're high on MarJon. He wasn't really helping the Bucks win games in year one. And I just don't see how you
can he in year two, though?
Hopefully.
I hope so, too, but continue.
But year one is pretty important still, and I agree with you. Like, I think, if anything, it's can you get, like, pick 29 as part of a different deal where you also get a player? That, I think, works. I would be pretty surprised. I mean, that's just, like, I guess if you're really, like, we're going to keep Khris and Brook, but we want to be under that apron, but we're not just going to give away a guy, I guess then it kind of makes sense because you're lessening your cap hit, but you're also lessening your talent. So I think that's pretty tough. So I agree with you. I think the 30s and 40s makes a lot of sense because, it's just they have some second rounders, right? So can you flip 2 future seconds for 45? Yeah, probably. I mean, that's pretty reasonable.
I'd be more interested in that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think I was looking through here, and there's a lot of players. I looked from 30 through like the 60s at guys I thought were Bucksy or I would like on the team. So here are the ones I noted, and I'll just briefly describe to you, and then I'll get your thoughts. So there's rankings on this. This is from Sam Vecini's huge big board that he super dives in. It's really great and informative. Sam Vecini of The Athletic. So that's where these rankings come from. So the highest on the list is 35, Maxwell Lewis from Pepperdine. He's a good offensive wing with upside, but he needs to lock in defensively on and off ball. So kind of an interesting. I'll just go through a few at a time and we can chat. 38, Amari Bailey, UCLA. I think he's got a little hype. I'm guessing it'd be probably hard to get him in the second round. And to be clear, these two guys and these first few guys I'm saying are like they need to get a pick in the 40s. I don't think they're going to fall to 58. I do have some guys at 58, though. Amari Bailey's young. He's 19 still. A combo guard. He can score and pass. Kind of questionable handle and athleticism. And didn't shoot a lot. So it's like the raw tools are there, but more of a developmental player. But combo guard upside is fun. Brandon Podziemski. He played in Santa Clara like the good Jalen Williams. He's from Wisconsin. He's a good scorer, kind of small for a wing player, though, and is a questionable defender. So those first three, Bailey, Lewis, and Podziemski, what are your thoughts?
In regards to like not being able to play defense.
It's tough, right?
I was actually going to lean the opposite because defense is something you can really teach. You can teach defense. You can't really teach like if you want to have like in sort of like offensive instincts.
Yeah. So I agree. I lean toward this rather than the guys who it's like, he defended. I think they have one guy who kind of shot, but is more of a defender. But I leaned more to this than like, the Tari Eason mold of like, we think he can defend, but he really just can't shoot at all. Because it's just tough. It's such a gamble. I mean, I'm not saying it's not worth taking the gamble, but it's just hard to, I think they really need the shooting to ever get minutes, honestly. 47th ranked prospect on this board was Seth Lundy from Penn State. He's a wing, and Vecini noted he's got a really good motor. He's a good shooter. He's not a great handler or defender right now, but I think with the motor, like, can you teach him to be a good positional defender? And then a bigger wing who can shoot, like, that's interesting. Hunter Tyson from Clemson. He's a big wing. The knock was like he's not a great driver, but he can shoot. And this is the 49th ranked guy. And it's like, yeah, if I can get into like 50 or like the late 40s, or maybe he even falls to 58, if it's like someone with real size who can shoot, does he need to drive at that point? Maybe not. Like, I mean, take the NBA skills.
Yeah.
What do you thought? That wasn't a convinced yeah.
I mean, it's like, obviously, ideally, you'd want someone who can like you.
Yeah.
But if you're talking like late second round, it's like beggars can't be choosers at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, continue.
No, it's all good. Hunter Tyson. Oh no, I said him. Adam Flagler from Baylor. This one's interesting. The Bucks haven't really drafted guys like this in ever. He's a smaller point guard. Shot the lights out, like from the catch and from the dribble. He fights defensively. I think he was like 6'1", if I remember right. So he's just a little smaller. I know they don't usually go to guys like that. But the plus shooting at this point in the draft, I'm just like, yeah, let's just get him in and see. Like, can you hide him enough? I mean, can he just be a bench guy?
Yeah. Here's my thing. How often do those guys sort of pan out?
Steph Curry.
If you think this guy's going to be Steph Curry, then absolutely.
I don't. Seth Curry.
I even said nah to Seth Curry.
But if you could get Seth Curry as a rookie in the 50s.
I mean, sure. But it's also like, I don't know. Those guys.
Gabe Vincent? Ish? He's got more juice on the dribble, I think, than this guy.
Yeah. And probably not as good of a defender.
Yeah.
It's just like those guys in college who are like the small guards who can shoot, like, doesn't really pan out usually.
Yeah, that's fair. I think everybody's favorite late round prospect, Jalen Slauson, a wing from.
I thought you were going to say Imani Bates.
Oh no, I didn't put him on here. I don't know. I didn't see him on this list. As fun as it would be, he's just like a chucker and does nothing else. Are we wasting our time? When is that player ever going to help on the Bucks? I don't really see it. But Slauson's a legit wing defender. The shot will be the swing. So instead of just not being a shooter, he's been a bad shooter for most of his college career. But year 4, it seemed like he figured it out. So, it's like a swing thing. But that's the kind of pick where, like, I think you can always get behind adding someone like this. And he's the 56th ranked player in the draft. So, like, if he's there at 58, that's absolutely a swing I want them to take.
That's fair.
Tristan Vukcevic from Partizan. That was his last team. I don't know where that is. He's like a huge shooting center, but they don't know if he's going to be mobile enough to play in the NBA. Like, I don't know. At 58, I'm interested. Or on a two-way. Or both.
Like, yeah. Maybe I'm just being a downer, but like even if a guy like Zach Edey can't be...
Zach Edey, I think, was higher on here.
But do you have any confidence that Zach Edey's going to produce at the NBA level?
Does he shoot as well, though?
That's fair. But it's a mobility thing.
Yeah, but Myers Leonard might have a job next year. That's kind of the same issue.
That's a different topic, Ty.
I think he could be back.
I think he could.
He certainly wants to be. He's there.
The Bucks socials want him as well.
Him and Goran, who's already
it's a troll
in the Heat front office. No, the theory I've heard is they're trying to get rid of all the clips they have.
Oh wait, no, you told me about.
Yeah, and they're not going to have any other opportunity, so they're just like put it all out now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like,
but at 58,
yeah. I guess. Sure. Like, you could take anyone in 58 and say, like, I guess.
But the upside, like, if he's not a great defender, but he's like, okay, 40% from 3. That's useful. On a team with Giannis?
That is useful. I can't say I know enough to really...
I'm not an expert. Like, I'm really like trying to simplify these guys to, like, kind of archetypes, and then we can discuss from there. I'm not going to act like I'm an expert on this guy's game. But I just think if you're like a 7-footer who has legit shooting, I think that's
a plus skill. That is a plus skill.
You have to be
that's
pretty
worth
bad.
A flyer.
Like, if you could just be serviceable defensively, you're at least a role player.
Yeah. Can you be Dwayne Dedman?
Yeah. Again, Leonard before the injuries and scandal that he caused and owned up to, like, was going to probably stick around in the league. Like, that's useful to have. Chris Livingston from Kentucky, another younger player. This is more of a project wing, but disruptive defender. So this would be a real flyer. I'd be a little surprised, but he's like got real physical tools at 19 at the wing, which I always find interesting. Okay. What'd you say?
I said okay. I thought are you about to say Serge Ibaka?
Sir Jabari Rice. Sir apostrophe Jabari Rice is an awesome name. Vicini called him a winner. He's won at every level. Good decision maker. Should be able to make shots and defend. I think he's like a combo guard size. But he's old. He's 23, which honestly is not bad for the Bucks. And also Livingston was the first that these guys are in the 60s. So they're like undrafted in if this was the draft order, like this big board, they'd be undrafted. Muhammad Guy, this is like, let's not leave Ibu Baji unprotected is the vision with this guy. It's the same idea of like a project center. He really needs polish, but I think this is one where he's got some ball skills offensively. He can kind of shoot a bit like off the dribble, but he just needs a ton of polish. But he can kind of defend wings too. So this is where I'm like, can we get this guy at 58 and just like, you're not going to play at all with the Bucks year one. You're going to shadow Brook and Giannis every day, and then you're going to go play for the herd when you're not up, right? Like that's the idea here. That I find super interesting.
That I would find that interesting as well. Like if you can like potentially get a solid wing who you can develop.
Well, I think he's a big who can defend down. So the vision here is like, this is the future ideal of center next to Giannis.
Okay. I'd be interested. I'd be interested for sure.
Let me look up his height quick. I didn't put it down here.
If you're at
6'11",
6'11", if you're at pick 58, and you get like there's a prospect who has like a chance to be a guy who you can see on this team, you should take it.
Yeah, he shot 51% from 2, and he was taking like some pull-ups. 37% from 3, so that's not there yet. A negative assist to turnover, 14-8 for Washington State. But he's from Senegal. He's only played professional hoop for, I think, like a couple years at this point. I like the flyer.
I'd be interested.
I think they should learn from the Ibu Baji thing. And we don't know. He got hurt. We don't know what he's going to be, but clearly the demand was there. Like, don't leave that guy just in the G League. Like, get him on a two-way at least.
For sure.
And then Liam Robbins, a shooting center who can defend but, like, not do anything else. And it's like, yeah, that's interesting. In the 60s or undrafted or, it's like, he's like if Javon was a center is what it sounded like. Which is like, yeah, sign me up for that. I'm sure I'm leaving out some important flaws, but there was like, he's not really a rim runner. Like, he doesn't pass the ball well. And it's like, okay, I think I can work with that at the 5. He's 23 too. He's old, so it's one of those things.
Yeah. You don't need a passing big if you're the Bucks.
He averaged 15 and 6, 1 assist to 1.6 turnovers, but 3.2 blocks and shot 36% from 3. So
yeah, that's
interesting.
Interesting prospect. Yeah, if you can get size, you take size.
Yeah. So those are the guys. What are your thoughts overall on the 40s, 50s, and 60s options?
I'm actually okay with the Bucks, like based on what you said, like at around keeping pick 58.
Keep 58 and add, like, can you swip like the Portland second and a future, or just that one, and get a pick in the 40s too?
Maybe.
Or do you not? You just want one?
I mean, if you can, I'd say do it. Like if you have a guy, if you're Jon Horst and you're like, oh, this is a good guy I want.
Yeah.
Especially with this being a bit of a deeper draft.
Yeah.
You should take it.
You never know. I mean, there could be someone I didn't even bother looking at like 22 who falls to 38. I mean, it happens every year, right? So
exactly.
It all depends on who's on the board, of course. It's a good point.
Yeah. Like if you have your guy and you can go get your guy, go do it.
Yeah. I would like to see them come away with one of these big guys.
Yeah, take a big.
Take a chance. Get him on one of the 3 two-ways this year, new CBA thing, and just be like, as we're gonna milk all the knowledge out of Brook we can.
Yeah, like I agree. If you want to draft someone, you should draft a big.
Yeah, and I mean, you always take a chance on a wing. The guards, I don't think I did a good job selling you on any of the guards we talked about, which is fair.
Yeah, I was all right. I was more interested in the big prospects.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the draft. We will, of course, be back after the draft, some combination of us, to actually talk about what the Bucks did. Could be a trade, could be draft picks, could be no draft picks.
Could be the NBA or the East as itself changing with the landscape shifting. Huge. We shall see.
Yeah. So a lot going to happen. We'll recap it all, of course, with a Bucks focus. I just hope don't just trade 58 and do nothing else. That's the worst possible. I don't think they will, though. I really don't think they will.
Yeah, well, imagine if the entirety of the Bucks draft is just them selling 58.
Oh, that'd be horrible.
It would be. If you have a second round pick and you're the Bucks, you should take your pick.
Well, I think that won't happen because for the tax stuff, second rounders are cheaper than even vet
Exactly. Exactly. Which is why you should take your second round picks.
Yeah. I would not be mad if they walked away with 2.
I wouldn't be either.
I think it would signal a guy like Ingles maybe isn't back. Clearly Dragic, no. Leonard, we'll see.
I was going to say it's probably Leonard more than Ingles.
Yeah.
Well, depending on who they pick, we'll see.
I don't even know if that matters. Like, I think unless they get up to like 40, I don't think we should assume that the Bucks see a rotational role this season for anyone they pick. I mean, hell, they picked Marjon in the first round, and he wasn't, when they were healthy, that wasn't the plan. It's almost like operating like an NFL team. Like, plan for when you will need them in 2 years.
Yeah.
Which they have not done a good job of.
No, and it's a difficult line to tread.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a contender who doesn't have all their picks.
Yeah, very, very few of their picks. But
yeah, few and far between. You don't get a lot of practice using your picks.
I said when the report came out that he was looking in the 20s, I said Horst drafted once and now he's addicted to it. And he wants to keep going. Oh, this was so fun.
He's like, oh man, I like this.
Although I will say, Wara and Merrill were good picks for the draft slots. Like they've actually done pretty well. Mamu too. They've done pretty well with these picks.
The Bucks have been good with second round picks.
They found talent, but it hasn't fit as well.
Yeah, I think their only second round whiff was really Yorgos.
Yeah, and that's what was that, 59 or something?
Yeah,
that doesn't even really count.
Oh, he was the last pick, wasn't
he? Yeah, but I don't know if it was a 60-pick draft.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, he made it to October. Good for him.
Yeah.
Or November, excuse me.
He's a decent player overseas, but I mean,
his brother's better.
Yeah, I know. They got the wrong one. I'm sick.
Yeah. Shout out Eugene for.
I hope the other Kaladzakis comes over.
We'll see.
Could they go get Micic?
Yeah, to trade with OKC.
We'll see. They have the rights.
Apparently, he's in OKC.
Oh, I think his new agent used to work there too. So there's stuff moving around Micic.
OKC maybe wants to win. They should be winning this season.
Yeah, I think so. The Kings guy, they have the rights to, I think, that Eugene's been obsessed with. I wonder if he'll come over too. Okay, we're just talking. I think we're now.
Hugo Bassan?
Yeah, maybe Hugo comes out. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. That'd be interesting. That'd basically be another draft pick.
Yeah, it's one they used last year. That would be the big guy who cannot move at all. Vicini said he could be a stash candidate too. So that's an option as well if they picked him at 58.
For sure. But whatever happens, we will be here to recap it for you.
We are grasping at straws.
Yeah. No, it's the draft is very, very important. Last year was obviously more excited because I got my guy. I got Bo Champ.
Never
got Bo Clamps.
Not much.
Bo Clamps. So it'll be interesting for sure. We'll see if the Bucks actually trade up, get a first round pick. Whatever happens, maybe Dame gets traded. Maybe the Bucks trade for Dame. Who knows what's going to happen?
That would be fun. Sign me up for that.
But we will have everything wrapped up for you here on the Gyro Step and a GSPN. We will have those pods for you, and you can find the links to all of our podcasts at gspn.info. You can find all the pods on the network, like Cruising for a Bruising, Talk of the Tundra, Make Time for This, all of that stuff. You can find that at gspn.info, as well as all our links, like YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. But if you have not checked out our YouTube, go check it out. Give it a watch. Check out the videos if you want to see our
faces. Hit the bell. We've been going live. Hit the bell and be ready.
Yeah, who knows if the Bucks make some seismic trade, we might just go live on YouTube. So make sure you're tuned in and subscribed for that. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening to this on your podcast platform of choice. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Like I said, check out gspn.info pod random, and we will talk to you next time.